and your stardust, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better. How I try to sleep, but you're deep in my mind. Got a hold of me. When I'm awake, I'm all blind. You and your magic, like infinite power. God knows I've tried to resist, but you're pulling me closer. Oh, I gotta stay away, but you won't let me. No one makes me feel like you do. And no one sets my body on fire. And no one gives me shivers like you. Oh, no one does it better.
What makes a good leader? Over the next 40 minutes or so, we'll explore why this question is so important and why I believe engineers can make great leaders. I'll also reveal how something as insignificant as a clothes peg nearly stopped my entire career before it started, and how failure became a catalyst for success. We'll hear from some of my closest colleagues and industry experts.
You always make these successes along the way with the help of other people.
If it hasn't been made by Mother Nature, then it has been made by an engineer.
And I'll share some of the initiatives most important to me, including inspiring the younger generation and the importance of mentorship. Engineers holding the keys to the future of humanity. In 1982, my relationship with the IET began when I became a student at the University of Huddersfield. And it was in 1989 I gave my very first research presentation here in this lecture theatre. I was incredibly nervous, my hands were sweating and my knees were knocking. And afterwards I was approached by a man called Kel Fiddler, who was very kind to me and tremendously supportive. And he turned out to be a mentor for life. And that's what's so special about this institution. Let me take you back to where it all began. Here in my hometown of Huddersfield. I've been really lucky in my engineering career. It's brought me all over the world. I've visited over 60 countries and seen some amazing sights. But the favourite place for me is this wonderful windy Castle Hill in Huddersfield. It's because from here I can see my whole life. I can see the hospital where I was born. I can see that tough northern estate that I was brought up on. I can see the schools that I went to. I can see the university where I studied, and I can also see the place that I met my wife. It's just such an amazing view, and it's all of those areas that have shaped and made the person that I am today. I was brought up in a village called Deaton. It was a place of economic migrants, and we had people from all over the world, my parents included. My father was tremendously hard-working. He was a bus driver who used to get up at 4 a.m. and sometimes not return until after midnight. My mother was a seamstress, and she had the ability to look at a dress or a suit and was able to reproduce it. Being surrounded by this work ethic and this creativity really shaped the person that I am today and put me on the path to being an engineer. At the age of 15, all that stood between me and an apprenticeship was one of these. We were taken into a room, and on the table was a peg. We had to pick it up, dismantle it into its 3 pieces, and then put it back together again. And those that were able to do it the quickest got through to the next round, and those that were slow got ejected. And I was one of those that got ejected. And it was a turning point in my life. It led to me going to college and eventually becoming the youngest professor in Britain. You don't go from a peg to being the youngest professor of engineering in the UK without some twists and turns on the way. And I'll always remember when I came to this institution for my interview, the person that interviewed me said, "With you, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel." That made me so angry, and I turned that anger into determination. And that led to me getting the top marks on the course, the IE prize for academic distinction, and a trajectory that led to a very successful career in engineering. When I reflect back, I always think, thank you. That's what needed to be said to me at that moment in my life. I first became interested in electronics as a child. I was fascinated by the TV and radio, and I'd often take the back off and have a look inside just to see how they worked. When I was 12, I saw an electronics kit that I really wanted to buy. It was the Science Fair 201 electronic kit. The problem was I didn't have the money, so I had to do 2 paper rounds, one in the morning and one in the evening, and I saved and saved until eventually I had enough money to buy this, the 75-in-1 kit, and it was absolutely amazing. All of a sudden I had electronics gear, transistors, resistors, capacitors, diodes, and I could experiment and try new things, and it led to a real passion for electronics and a lifelong interest in telecommunications, and that led to me becoming the youngest professor in the UK, and even today I think it's magic. The IET's initiatives to inspire the next generation are outstanding. From First Lego League and the Faraday Challenge Days to Engineer a Better World and Engineering Open House Day. The IET's initiatives are so important in inspiring and supporting the next generation of engineers. We don't just talk to children and young people about engineering, we challenge them to come up with solutions. Teachers worldwide use our free resources to introduce their students to engineering, and through the IET scholarships and bursary programmes, we've supported 1,600 undergraduates and apprentices from a diverse range of backgrounds. Hundreds have now begun careers in engineering and technology and are staying connected with the IET. We look forward to continuing the support through the new IET Future Talent Awards launch and Boost scholarships. This 75-in-1 kit actually led to a lifelong interest in telecommunications, and I pursued a degree and a PhD in it. And along the way I did what all engineers do. We want things to go faster, we want to make them cheaper, and we want to make them more sensitive. And that mindset, that thinking about all of the systems and how the systems interact and how we can break it down, and we can look at the component parts and we can make them more efficient, all of that skill set I brought into my role as Vice Chancellor, and I take very much an engineering approach in the way I actually lead the university. It has to be evidence-based, it has to be analytical, it has to be logical. We need to understand what we're doing and why, and that's very much the engineering approach. One person who saw firsthand how I brought my engineering philosophy into this Vice-Chancellor role is Engineering Professor Dame Jane Jiang, my academic sister.
I'm Jane Jiang, a professor in precision metrology, but had a specialist in physics and mathematics. My research is the mathematics modeling for the non-uniform surfaces and create the instrumentation to measure the surface on machine in process. I became the Fellow of Royal Academy of Engineering 2012. Bob awarded his fellowship 2015. Bob will also get his CBE in 2014, and 2017 I become the DBE. So Bob often refers us as academic brother and sister. Although we had a different role in the university, but the goal is the same. That is make this university even better, even greater than before. Because of his engineering background, he wanted to make a transformative change. So he makes a different approach. For example, he thinks teaching should have underpinning research, and the research leader should have professional management skill. I think this is a very ambition for any innovative university. He knows what country need. He knows what Huddersfield need. He knows what can be changed if university can change locally. If you comparison 15 years ago, the university, the building and the facility is completely different.
As an engineering profession, we need to be more inclusive. We need to bring more people in of different gender, different sexual orientation, different ethnicity, different religion, because that diversity of thought actually leads to better solutions. I remember hearing a line of poetry by the famous female black American poet Maya Angelou. She said, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike." And what this said to me is that we should recognise the similarities but celebrate the differences. And it's those differences that bring unique opinions and give us the wonderful solutions that we're looking for. In 2017, whilst at an Outwards Bound event at Buckingham Palace, I met a young lady with an incredible story, but had found herself in an exceptionally difficult circumstance.
So I came into UK in 2011 at the age of 14 as an asylum seeker, and I was put into foster family, and I had to complete my GCSEs within 7 to 8 months. So you can imagine the struggle because I could not speak any English. But in my head, it has always been my dream to go to university. So when I received my A-level grades, I was so happy and so excited to take that next step of my career to go to university. And I was overwhelmed and really happy, but it was just for me to find out a few days after that I was not eligible for student finance. And so, as you can imagine, it was a heartbreaking moment for me. I didn't want to give up. I wrote letters after letters to anyone I could think of, local MPs, to themselves, student finance, explaining the situation. I really wanted to go to higher education, but it didn't work. I was put in a position to choose either to carry on receiving benefit and stay in the house or become homeless and go to university. And I remember it was 2017 when I was invited to speak at Buckingham Palace. And that's when I met Professor Bob Cryan, and that's when my higher education journey started. There was a queue, people queuing to come and say, "Congratulations, rookie." And all these people that came past, they left me with their business card and whatsoever. And it was only Professor Bob Cryan that came to me and said, "Congratulations." And we had a little bit of chat, and then he asked me, "So rookie, what's now?" When he asked me that question, my head went, whoa, And so I had a chance to tell him my story, my backstory that I didn't share with everyone. And when I shared my story with him, he said, "Might be able to help you." I gave him my contact number, and I was contacted back from the university, and I was offered a full scholarship that covered my degree and accommodation. Professor Bob Cryan, he didn't just got me here, "Yeah, you've got a scholarship, find your way and just do it." No, before I got here, he got me in contact with Professor Colin Bamford, who was my one-to-one support tutor that I could go to speak to. And that really helped me a lot, because there was a moment where I felt a little bit, behind. He would, come talk to me and, "Rookie, you could do 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you could even suggest me a book. Rookie, you could read this, you could do that, you could." So that really meant a lot to me. And someone from my situation, having Bob Cryan monitor me through my, degree journey, it helped me a lot. I always say to everyone around me, I'm in debt. I'm in debt to the University of Huddersfield and the support and everything that I received here. He helped me a lot. And it would mean a lot to every other young people, not just me. There are hundreds and thousands of people out there that need this support, this type of support. And if we can get it out there, it could change many people's lives.
In 2007, I was fortunate to be appointed as Vice Chancellor of my hometown University of Huddersfield. At the time, I was the youngest Vice Chancellor in the UK, so this was a big gamble for the appointment committee. And what I was determined to do was to use my engineering skills to demonstrate that they'd made the correct decision, but more importantly, to transform my hometown university. And I took that typical engineering approach. I broke the problem down, I used hierarchical decomposition, broke it into segments and appointed the best teams to drive things forward. And this has absolutely transformed the institution and led to a plethora of awards, including University of the Year, Entrepreneurial University of the Year and Queen's Anniversary prizes. But like all engineers, I don't rest on my laurels. We're still driving the institution forward. We're still looking for that continuous improvement. We're still looking at what steps we can take out of our processes.
The institution's been transformed over those last 15 years, and it's been transformed because Bob is a great leader of innovation. He's somebody who can think in a way that genuinely changes the paradigm for the institution and for the sector. So one of the most obvious examples of that transformation is in the physical estate, the buildings that we have here on campus. They've been completely transformed over the last 15 years. 85% of them are either new builds or major refurbishments, and we're now ranking among the best in the sector. And not for nothing is Bob known as Bob the Builder, and it's an ongoing process, so we've future-proofed the institution, making sure that we've got land available for a good 30 years of future expansion. I'm a very fortunate person. In all the time that I've worked in higher education, and indeed before, I've never met a better leader, either here nor at any other institution. He's a very, very supportive manager. He brings out the best in the teams that he works with, and the opportunity to work alongside him on this transformational journey has been really a great privilege.
The most powerful 10 words that I've heard that get across the importance of engineers came from His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh. He said, "Everything not invented by God is invented by an engineer." This shows our significance to the future of humanity. If we can inspire that younger generation of engineers and show them how to help shape our world, we will collectively have a more sustainable future. Helping young people develop their self-confidence and esteem is really important to me, and that's why I'm involved with two charities. The first is Dragon's Den's Peter Jones's Foundation, where we're helping young people develop their leadership skills and getting them to think about creating their own businesses.
I set up the Peter Jones Foundation in 2005, and my vision was to provide young people especially with the real skills that they required to actually have a chance of a better life. The foundation now does this by working with education providers across the UK. We also work with some in the US and abroad as well, which is great. But what's really important is that we're sort of champions of learning by doing. So we're not theoretical. We really do want to get people out in the workplace and really experience what it's like to either work, start a business, and be enterprising. And we've got two real flagship programs. One is the Tycoon Enterprise Challenge, where it gives people as young as 6, would you believe, that they get a chance to start a business, and we go right the way through to 18. And then we've also got a network of enterprise academies that teaches level 3 BTEC qualifications. We've co-designed that with Pearson. So we're all about enterprise and entrepreneurship, and we're all about making and hoping to make young people's lives a lot brighter.
The second is the Inspiring Digital Enterprise Award, where we're engaging young people in digital badges and micro-credentials in order to aid their understanding of digital technologies.
There's a huge problem in the UK where not enough people have the right digital skills needed for the world of work and for life. IDEA was set up to try to help bridge the digital skills gap. We cover things like animation, games design, cybersecurity, and blockchain. The Inspiring Digital Enterprise Award houses lots and lots of different micro-credentials or bite-sized modules that people can complete to achieve points and digital badges. And those points and badges are all added up and they count towards you unlocking and achieving industry-recognised bronze, silver or gold awards. Bob actually has the IDEA Award himself. He was among the first to achieve the bronze and the silver awards on IDEA. So Bob is always learning himself and continuing to get more qualifications and more experience, and he's been encouraging me to continue with my own professional growth as well. The pace of change is so fast now, and the jobs that exist today aren't necessarily going to be the jobs that the next generation will be aspiring to do. So it's really important that we're inspiring that next generation to open their eyes to the opportunities and the world that's going to be available to them.
The three extreme climate events around the globe, which many believe are linked by man-made climate change.
Well, oil prices surged to their highest level in 7 years.
Those over 85 have more than twice the risk of dying in cold conditions.
Older, more polluting vehicles will have to pay a daily charge.
The world is changing, it's changing rapidly, and we're facing major challenges. As engineers, we cannot afford to just sit by and watch. We need to take action. The IET 2030 strategy identifies 5 societal challenges. The first is around sustainability and climate change. The second is around digital futures. The third is around healthy living. The fourth around productive manufacturing. And the fifth is around people-centric infrastructure. What we need to be doing as an organisation is to make sure that that next generation of engineers really understand these societal challenges and then equip them with the skills needed to engineer a better world.
Fashion and textiles is one of the most polluting industry in the world. If you look at the supply chain, we either use a lot of petroleum or we use a lot of fibers, and then we have to process them to make it a fabric. Then we have to make it fire retardant, then we have to give it a color. All of them got a huge ecological footprint that not only takes a lot of our natural resources, but it actually changes the ecosystem. So we have a serious problem in our hand, and we need to address that problem. Your president and our Vice Chancellor, Bob Cryan, has given us a clear instruction. Whatever we do need to have a serious impact in the society. My approach to that is to work to consider ourselves, the universities, a stakeholder in a very big, complex architecture of things that are going on. I'll give you one example, right, where a symbiosis of creativity and technology happens. We are actually using the fourth state of matter, the plasma state, to treat the fabrics. What we do with that is we treat the fabric, make them hydrophobic, fire retardant, so on and so forth. If you go back 10 or 20 years, you would have used gallons and gallons of water and gallons of chemicals to do the same. Now we are using only a few molecules of gas to achieve the same treatment. What is the ecological benefit of that? We can do life cycles, but you can guess what is the benefit. It is not changing the DNA of the fish. It is not taking water, fresh water from continents like Africa and Asia where people can't drink enough water. So we are making a real difference by taking a completely different, what I call the engineered approach to creativity. We are not only making a difference to the UK society, of course we are, because this area is all about textiles, but we are trying to make that influence reach out globally through our supply chain. Textile supply chain is beyond fashion. We contribute in aeronautical engineering, in automotive engineering, we contribute in space science, but even for fashion, it needs to be a symbiosis where the mechanical engineers, the precision engineers are working with the chemists. Then only we can create a real solution. Now we need your help to change this industry. We need the innovations from engineering and IT to inform us. I genuinely believe engineers got the ability to change every aspect of our discipline. Engineers can contribute enormously to creative subjects, and that is where we aspire to work with engineers so that we can create solutions, not problems.
I'm a proud chartered engineer, and I really do understand the difference that engineers make to humanity. And like all engineers, I love being in a laboratory. I love to be in this kind of environment, seeing this advanced technology. But what I've realised in my career, that engineers eventually start to become responsible for leading people. And when that happened to me, I realised that I was ill-equipped. I was very much that accidental manager. And I've recognised that in my own organisation, we have lots of accidental managers. So I decided to put myself through a chartered manager programme, and I've asked all of my colleagues to do the same. Everybody from senior professors to people leading any group of people, be it cleaners. We've now all been through that programme, and what we've recognised is that it has made a big difference in terms of our leadership and managerial capabilities. So what I'm wanting to do during my year as president is to shine a spotlight on engineers as leaders, and we've created a partnership with the Chartered Management Institute that will accelerate progression to chartered manager for our chartered engineers. And this is something I genuinely believe in. I think engineers make good leaders, and I hope that you'll join me in creating the engineering leaders of the future. One person who was able to take his engineering training into management and leadership was University of Huddersfield alumni and former President and Chief Executive Officer of the global science and technology company 3M, Sir George Buckley.
I always suffer from the fraud complex, which is, well, I know it's gone okay for the last 35 years, but I'm sure they're going to find me out tomorrow. From my background as a child, I wasn't even sure that I could even hack it at Huddersfield. But of course, I always had a dream of being an engineer. I had a dream that had been planted in my mind by my grandmother originally. And so, in a sense, I'd never really ever wanted to be anything else but an engineer. The quality of engineering education in Britain is very, very high. And as a consequence, I had no difficulty. I got to be known as a sort of a person that would solve problems that other people often couldn't, and that was only on the basis of great training. It seemed like I had a talent for managing people, so I got promoted more and more and more. Eventually, I was contacted by headhunters, as often happens for people out in industry, and I became president of Mercury Marine. That was a very interesting task, because the challenge there was Mercury was getting its brains beaten out by the Japanese manufacturers, just like they'd done to the British motorcycle industry. And I'd seen this happen, so I could see a sort of deja vu opportunity here. And so I said, no, we're going to take them on. So we hired a bunch of people from Porsche, from Cosworth, from Lotus. We thought about hiring people from Ferrari, and we engaged up with these people to design these engines. And today, Mercury is now, off the basis of all that stuff that was done, is the dominant manufacturer in outboard engines. Complete transformation, and this has really always been the hallmark of my career, is how can I use innovation to make a breakthrough in products. In 3M, it was the same issue. When I got there was some loss of self-belief in the company, and it was my job to fix it. Of course, every time you meet one of these challenges, you're not sure if you can do it. None of my attitudes at the human level changed, not toward myself or to other people. You always make these successes along the way with the help of other people. You know, often in business, we judge our success by the variation in the stock price. It was 57, and about a year after I retired, it was 157. We added over $90 billion of valuation to the company in that period of time. You start off with a dream, in my case, of just being an engineer. All the rest of the stuff happened by accident. And my joking thing is all it does is prove God has a sense of humor. But it's really a sequence of hard work, sometimes happy accidents, always help from other people, always surrounding yourself with people who are very, very able, and they're the people that really make this kind of story happen. And so that's the short story of Huddersfield to 3M.
He helped me a lot. He helped me a lot.
He knows what the country needs. He knows what Huddersfield needs.
I've never met a better leader.
Bob has a very natural authority as well as an absolute accessibility. He can be part of a group, and yet he will strongly stand out. I initially got to know Bob through my role as Chancellor of the University of Huddersfield, a position that I held from 2004 to 2015. Bob was appointed as Vice Chancellor in 2007, and we worked very closely together until I stepped down, but our friendship continues. Bob is very proud to be an engineer, and you can see this coming through in the way that he has led the university. He is continuously driving it forward, wanting to improve every aspect. He has that engineering curiosity, and when we have visited the university laboratories together, he is always wanting to know how things work. I know that Bob is tremendously proud to be a Huddersfield engineering graduate, and he is using his engineering skills to transform his northern hometown university into an international university. Engineers make an outstanding contribution to our world, and they will help to shape our future. It seems that if it hasn't been made by Mother Nature, then it has been made by an engineer. And so we need to inspire the next generation and get them to understand the challenges that we face. I've been very honored to work on incredible shows like Star Trek, and these have exposed young people to highly creative ideas and innovative products that have fueled an interest in science and engineering and turned some of these ideas into reality. For example, the Star Trek communicator was the forerunner to the mobile phone. The Universal Translator preceded the Google Translate. And Lieutenant Uhura was using a hands-free earpiece long before Apple AirPods were invented. Star Trek: The Next Generation introduced the world to the concept of tablet computers, and the replicator is now becoming a reality in the form of 3D printers. Shows like Star Trek can fuel the creativity of young minds and excite them about the wonderful possibilities offered by a career in science and engineering.
I can't believe it's 40 years since I was a student member of the IET, and here I am, stood before you today as the President of the Institute of Engineering and Technology. What an amazing privilege it is for me. During my year as President, there are 3 areas that I'd like to focus on. The first one is around inspiring that next generation of engineers. We have some fabulous schemes at the IET, like First Lego League, like Faraday Challenge Days, and also our amazing bursaries programme. These all need funding, and what I'd like to do, the call to action, is that we support future funds to help that next generation, either by donating individually or engaging your companies to support these various schemes. My second call to action is around mentorship. The IET has some of the best engineers in the world, and what I'm asking is that we take some time out of our busy schedules to invest in that younger generation and guide their careers, and that will accelerate us towards our goal of engineering excellence. My third and final call is around engineers as leaders. I think engineers make absolutely outstanding leaders, but they need developing professionally. And this is where our partnership with the Chartered Management Institute can be re-energised, such that we develop and grow outstanding leaders that will help shape society. I've had an incredible 40-year journey, and it continues. But what I'd like us to do during this year is really focus our attention on that next generation. Let's give them that self-confidence, let's give them that self-esteem, but most importantly, let's give them the belief that anything is possible.
Because the world faces unprecedented challenges and engineers are needed to solve them. Because we're passionate about the future of engineering and this should be accessible to all. Because one STEM event can change a career path.
Not just about how much you know and about what you can make, it's about actually why you're making it and how is this going to benefit people. And it's not all about just the engineering aspects, it's about why is it important.
Helps, gives you skills that maybe you wouldn't find elsewhere, and it really, I'd say, increases how creative you could be, because this isn't the work of our teachers, this isn't any schoolwork, this isn't anything we're forced to do, it's things we actually want to do.
I think it's really important for children to take part of events like this. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was their age, and I think it's fundamental as part of that process.
The IET Futures Fund provides funding towards 2 of our education programmes, IET Faraday Challenge Days and First Lego League. These deliver amazing real-world STEM experiences to young people across all backgrounds and include additional funding to schools with disadvantaged pupils for kit and travel. We're proud that the number of children engaging with these programmes grows every year thanks to your support. We also work directly with organisations and companies to provide one of the biggest award programmes for students and apprentices following engineering career paths, the IET Future Talent Awards. Through your donations, we're able to provide opportunities and support to a diverse group of young people, helping them stay committed and engaged with their studies or early career. Thanks to your support, the future of engineering is in safe hands. With support from the IET Futures Fund, Mariam Khan was able to afford university study and flourish against her peers.
The bursary really helped me through my studies because it helped me take up opportunities that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. For example, so much opportunities were experiences at companies that I would struggle to travel to, so that's where the bursary stepped in. But also in terms of my degree, it helped to fund, for example, electronics that I'll need for equipment that I'll need for my degree. and any particular books that weren't available or any memberships that are required that would help me get towards a better grade, but also taking up opportunities outside of university to excel my career.
Our awards alumni are employed across the engineering and technology sectors, and they're already giving back to the profession. Thanks to your support, we're able to help young people become role models for future generations.
I wished I had a role model there to inspire me into STEM, so I could have pursued a career in engineering much quicker. So then that's why I decided, or I continued doing my STEM work, and in the hopes of promoting the next generation of engineers and scientists, because I know if I wanted to make a difference, it's not later, it's now.
To all our supporters who are passionate about the future of engineering, thank you.